Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting lesson in Mr. Mike's Baby's Room. This week I'll be pulling my vocabulary lesson straight out of my anchor text. According to the AR Accelerated Reader, this is on the 5th grade level, and it is part of the Seeker series, The Melting Sea. And it tells a story of a polar bear who has befriended a black bear, a grizzly bear, and they're on the search for food before the sea melts away and the seasons change and they can't find food and whatnot. And I'm trying my best to connect this fictional story to a lot of the non-fiction words and events that we're learning about in our science lesson. So for today's vocabulary lesson, mine might be a bit unique, but I think you can easily modify or change it ever so slightly to accommodate any, say, content area specific vocabulary words. So what I mean by that is this story is written from a bear's perspective. And so obviously if you are a bear, you will not call common items by their human name. So for example, the word I'm going to go ahead and choose right now is going to be fire beast. It's a word that comes across in the story several times. So our word is fire beast. And so what I would do is, one, this is going to be a pre-reading activity. This is going to be something else that we'll leave on, say, the Promethean board while we're reading. That way we can refer back to, and then say after that day's reading text set, we'll go back over, we'll review, and we'll discuss more about what we think this word means. So fire beast. Little Johnny in the class, first thing that comes to his mind is going to be what? A dragon, right? I mean, a dragon breathes fire, it's a beast, so hey, it's a dragon. Somebody else says, well wait, I remember from what we read yesterday, the white bear befriended a black bear and a grizzly bear who's brown. Maybe it means that it's another bear beast. Maybe they have red hair. Maybe it's a red bear. Red like fire, red bear. That's a great idea, to be honest. I really like that idea. So I'm going to write that one down as well. Somebody else remembers the mentioning from yesterday's text set reading. They said, wait, they said that we discussed what a flat face is. That's another one of our book-specific words, because bears don't have a name for humans, so they call them flat face because we don't have our snout. And so this student remembers, he said, wait, it says something about the flat faces controlled the fire beast. What does that mean? And that's that teacher moment when you see that light bulb go off, because that spurs off a conversation. Then somebody says, wait, are they talking about like a tractor? Maybe a train? Hey, maybe a car? We don't know yet, to be honest. This is something that we want to clarify today in our readings for today. So I'm going to write down all of these ideas. Tractor. Somebody mentions a train. Somebody says, hey, maybe it's a car or, you know, or a truck. I kind of include those the same. And so we'll begin to read, and we're going to read, and we're looking for our context clues. We're going through all of our strategies, all the skills that we always discuss, referring back to our text for evidence. And towards the end of that reading, or even throughout the reading, we're going to discuss, well, hey, this story has nothing to do with dragons. We know, although a fire beast, I could easily call a dragon a fire beast. Dragon's out of the question. It does not mean dragon. There's no mention of dragons. Dragons aren't living with the bears. Red bear is a great idea, but we understand, because we've already gone through our characters and who's joining the pack and who's traveling together. We know that we have a core group of the polar bear, her cubs, and their friends, Lusa, the black bear, and Toklo, the brown grizzly bear. So although this is another great idea, we know that there's not another bear joining the story for right now. So we know that the fire beast doesn't mean a red bear. So now we're stuck with 4 other words who kind of all fall into the same category. And I would accept any one of these as an answer because this is where we're going to start our conversation. Does a bear really know the difference between a car and a truck? Does a bear really know the difference between a tractor and a truck? Maybe a train. There's no mentioning of like a train track or a rail or a long straight. So we might be able to eliminate train. Although, I think that's still a decent answer. So now we're stuck with car, truck, tractor. And we'll start this discussion because in the story it comes across and it says, flat faces control the fire beast. The fire beasts are only present whenever flat faces, remember flat faces is a human, whenever they're present. And whenever the animals are in the wilderness and far away from human civilization or you know, habitats, they don't see the fire beast. So these are all discussions, and remember we're practicing the whole time going back into our text set, look at our context clues, and you have to find evidence for your answers. So now we're here, and we're going to discuss, hey, fire beast does in fact mean a vehicle of some sort, and the fire comes from the fact that it breathes smoke. They all have exhaust. They're in the north where it's cold, and that's all something that you can, if you're clever enough, incorporate into a science lesson as well about the heat and steam and whatnot. So that I would say is, although I went through it real quick, is the meat of my lesson. Now, I'm one of those guys, I want to kind of try to do my best to hit on what I'll call all cylinders. I want to have this discussion. I want to write our little map or thought, graphic organizer, whatever you want to call it. I want to hit on that, but now I want to break off into some groups. I want to start an activity that's going to not only ignite conversation among students, but I want them to kind of try to create words on their own. And then I always like to do a little bit of reading and a little bit of writing together because I think that it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like an inverse relationship. When one goes up, the other goes up. When they work together. And I think working with both of them together is going to make both aspects of reading and writing grow together. So now, this is the fun part. This is where I'm going to send everybody off to small groups and y'all can discuss. And what I want you all to do is look around the classroom and create bear names for common classroom objects. And so this is going to be really fun and really creative. Give the students, you know, as much time as say they need to come up with some really good ideas. Like, what would a bear call a Promethean board? In the story they speak a lot about spirits. Maybe that's the spirit viewer because you're seeing images that are displayed on the board. What about a pencil? Bears don't use pencils. What would a bear call a pencil? What would a bear call paper, the writing leaf? You can come up with all kind of cool creative things. And so one, I want to use their creativity, and you're almost leading a little bit into the comprehension end of them understanding that, hey, this story is from a bear's perspective. This whole story is seen through a bear's eyes. So are they able to translate those skills into creating bear names for classroom objects? So I want them to come up with their own vocabulary of bear names for classroom objects. And then this is where I want to go into the reading aspect of it, because we've read, we've discussed, we've worked in small groups, we're sharing ideas, we're comprehending, we're creating our own bear vocabulary list. Now I want them to write. I want them to now write using some of the modeled sentence and story structure from our text, from my anchor text, to then just write a very quick, simple story about what would a bear say and do when he's walking into class on the first day. What objects is he going to pick up? Because I want them to use those vocabulary words that they just created for bear name classroom objects in their own story writing. And then those will be shared, and you can take it another step closer. Like I said, I want to fire on all cylinders. I always kind of like the idea of reading aloud, sharing your stories. A lot of students like that, especially if they're successful. It's going to boost their confidence to read in front of people if they're doing well, and creating that whole climate culture where we respect everybody's work and we're going to listen. So now you're speaking, listening, reading, writing, discussing, small groups. To me, that's a full, complete lesson. I like to do that with most of my lessons if I can. And I think usually we can, if we're creative enough, try to get a little bit of all that in. That's the majority of my lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Try it out one day. Later, guys.